My sister manipulated our dying dad into signing the family cabin solely over to her, even though he promised it to both of us. She Airbnb'd it, gutted it, and treated me like I was crazy for questioning it. I took her to court and... Update. Scenic riverfront getaway. Newly renovated. $320 per night. Rachel had put the cabin on Airbnb. New furniture. New paint. New logo on the fireplace. Ridgewood Retreats. Gone were the faded curtains Mom made by hand. Gone was Dad's fishing gear. Gone was the oak table where we carved our initials as kids. Replaced with IKEA furniture, a Bluetooth speaker system, and some bullshit write-up about curated tranquility. I stared at the listing for 10 minutes. She hadn't just taken it. She had gutted it. Turned our family's legacy into a F*** king-side hustle. I went into a rage I didn't know I had in me. I threw my phone across the room. I yelled until my throat gave out. I punched a pillow so hard my knuckles bled. This wasn't about money anymore. It wasn't even about property. It was about erasure, about how she had taken something sacred and turned it into an Instagram backdrop. Confronting her one last time, I sent Rachel one final message. A long, angry, heartfelt email. I told her how much pain she'd caused, how deeply she had insulted not just me, but our father's memory. I told her she'd desecrated the one place that held our family's soul, and I begged to reconsider, to split ownership, to take it off Airbnb, to remember who we were before this all happened. Her response? One line. You're obsessed. Get therapy. That was it. No apology. No compromise. No humanity. Just ice. My attorney's bombshell. Just when I thought the case was circling the drain, my attorney called me with something big. He'd managed to subpoena the notary who signed the quitclaim deed. Turns out, that notary had made a written note in the margin of their logbook. Something about how the signer, my dad, had seemed drowsy, confused, and was not making full eye contact. This was huge. It suggested Dad may not have had full mental clarity when he signed over the cabin. That could mean the transfer was invalid, or at least enough for the court to reconsider. But it also meant dragging my father's health, dignity, and final days into the spotlight of a courtroom. I sat with that for a long time. Was I willing to torch the memory of my dad just to get back a piece of land? But then I remembered the porch, the fishing line, his words, I want that cabin to stay in the family. And it hit me. This wasn't about vengeance. It was about restoration. It was about honoring a promise. The case is still ongoing. These things take time, months, even years. Rachel won't speak to me. She's blocked me on everything. So has her husband and most of her friend group. She tells anyone who will listen that I'm trying to rob her of her grief, as if her pain somehow justifies deceit. But the truth is leaking out. Extended family has started canceling trips they had planned to the cabin. One of her friends even left a public Airbnb review saying, gorgeous spot, but felt oddly impersonal. Host was cold and transactional. That made me laugh. A sad, bitter laugh. My reflection. Here's what I've realized. Family betrayal doesn't hit you all at once. It's not a single stab wound. It's a slow bleed. It's the silence in the group chat. It's the stories that don't line up. It's the locks being changed, both literally and metaphorically. My sister stole more than an inheritance. She stole a legacy. She stole the version of our family I thought was real. And the worst part? She still thinks she's a victim. It's been over a year now since the fight over the cabin began. A year of court filings, cold shoulders, awkward holiday invites, and therapy sessions I never expected to need. When I first shared this story, I thought I was still in the middle of it. But the truth is, this was never just about the cabin. It was about truth, about identity, about finally seeing your own family for what they really are, not what you hoped they would be. Now that things have come to a head, I want to tell you how it ended, or at least how it's ending. Because some betrayals never fully close. They just scar over. Let's start with the legal piece, since that was the most immediate and public part of the fallout. We went to mediation before trial. Rachel showed up in a blazer 2 sizes too small, trying to look polished and put together. Her lawyer was all smiles and legal jargon. Mine was calm, controlled, but ready for war. They offered me a settlement. 5% ownership of the cabin. 1 week per year of access. A legally binding NDA about the dispute. In other words, crumbs. A pat on the head. Shut up and go away money. I rejected it. We pushed forward with the full contest. We had the medical records, the notary statement, and the timeline showing how Rachel had become sole owner only after Dad's worst hospitalization. And in the end, we didn't win the whole thing, but we didn't lose either. The judge ruled that while the transfer technically met legal standards, there was credible evidence of emotional coercion and unjust enrichment. Rachel was ordered to pay me 50% of the property's appraised value, remove all Airbnb listings immediately, issue a formal notarized letter stating that Dad's original intention was equal inheritance. She got to keep the cabin, yes, but only by buying me out. She had to cough up over $180,000. You could see the fury bubbling beneath her forced smile in court, like she thought she had this in the bag and couldn't believe the judge had the audacity to say, "Actually, you don't get to rewrite history." Rachel's response: she hasn't spoken to me since. Not once. Not to apologize. Not to gloat. Nothing. The money came through via wire transfer from her lawyer's firm. No note. No subject line. Just cold, sterile numbers in my bank account. Blood money. I didn't reply. At first, I thought I'd feel relief. That I'd finally feel like I'd won. But I didn't feel anything. Just empty. Because no amount of money can undo the fact that my sister, the person I shared bunk beds with, Christmas mornings with, childhood secrets with, saw our father's death as a lever to gain control, not a loss to mourn with her brother. My mom has taken it hard. Not the court ruling. She was actually proud of me for standing up for what was right. But the fracture between Rachel and me, that broke her in a quiet, lingering way. She still sets 2 extra places at the table on holidays, hoping one of us will show up unannounced and fix everything. Maybe someday. She says, maybe this is just a long storm. But I know better. Rachel doesn't see a storm. She sees victory. She got what she wanted and paid for it with a small cut to her pride. And she'll wear that scar like a badge of honor, like she outmaneuvered everyone. She doesn't regret it. She just regrets being caught. What I did with the money, I didn't blow it. I didn't buy a fancy car or fly to Bali to find myself. I bought a small piece of land near the coast. A quiet, wooded area with space to build something of my own someday. Not a cabin. Not a shrine to the past. Just something that's mine, built with my own hands, without a trace of manipulation or guilt baked into the foundation. And I donated a portion, around $20,000, to a cancer support charity in my father's name, one that provides travel stipends to families caring for loved ones undergoing treatment. Because that's what I wish we had focused on during Dad's illness. Support, not positioning for the will. I never told Rachel. I don't want credit. I just want peace. The last time I saw her, it was at a mutual cousin's wedding. She arrived late, dressed like she was going to photo shoot. I saw her before she saw me. Her laugh was louder than necessary. Her husband looked tired. She caught my eye once across the reception, but didn't nod, didn't flinch, didn't acknowledge me at all. Like we were strangers. Like we hadn't cried over our dad's body together in that hospital room. I almost walked over. Almost said, "Do you even miss him? Or was he just your ticket to power?" But I didn't, because that's the last trap of betrayal. Thinking it still owes you something. It doesn't. It just is. Here's the hard truth I've come to accept. Just because someone shares your blood doesn't mean they share your values. Grief doesn't always bring people closer. It can reveal they've always been underneath the polite smiles. Justice isn't about getting everything back. It's about refusing to let the story be rewritten by the one who shouted loudest. I used to think I'd feel whole again if I won, if I got the cabin back, if she said sorry. But healing didn't come from any of those things. It came from stopping the chase. If you're going through something similar, to anyone reading this who's been screwed over by a sibling or watched their family unravel after a parent's death, I see you. It's one of the most disorienting, soul-piercing kinds of betrayal there is. Because it hits you where your identity lives, your childhood, your memories, your sense of home. But I promise you, you are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are not alone. Stand up for yourself, even if your voice shakes. Fight for the truth, even if they lie louder. And most of all, don't let them define your story. That cabin isn't mine anymore, but I am,